We're here with Kaz, Head of Sport for Hockey Wales, who's leaving us at the end of the week. We've got a series of questions to ask you over your 4 years with the organisation. First question, Caroline, you've been with Hockey Wales for 4 years. Can you give us your top 3 moments from the last 4 years as Head of Sport, please?
Top 3, it's a tough one to answer. Obviously I've only been Head of Sport for about a year now, so I started with Hockey Wales 4 years ago as Head of Development, and huge transformation and huge change which has come in. If I was to name my top 3, I think we'd be looking at the inception of 4689. The development of that from nothing into what we've got now is a great approach and great buy-in, led by some brilliant ambassadors, and seeing the launch of that happen well over 2 years ago now is up there. I've got to highlight the Olympics and the Commonwealth Games. Seeing both our squads at Commonwealth Games last summer in Glasgow was a hell of a highlight. I'm very proud to be able to be a part of that and see them on the pitch. And probably one highlight taken back into the community, it was quite a tough day for me back in April of 2012, or I think it was 2012, pre-Olympic Games, when Sarah Thomas came up to Merthyr in the heart of one of the toughest communities of where she started her hockey career, and we had hundreds of children on the pitch, and the impact that Sarah had on that day was phenomenal, and I'll remember that day for many reasons for the rest of my career.
Well, okay. Next question. Hockey Wales have introduced many new products and programmes. Which one do you think will make the biggest difference to hockey in Wales?
Biggest difference? We've developed some brilliant approaches, and I know not all of them have been agreed or accepted by our members, and we know there's been some challenges along the road. We've done it with the best intentions and the best thinking behind them. I think in terms of what's moving forwards, I think rush hockey, in terms of a development orientated approach, I think will have the biggest impact in terms of what we need to do is change people's perceptions about hockey. People's lives are very, very different now, even different to when I started 4 years ago, and we've got to modernise, and we've got to make sure that we offer our sport in a way that people can embrace it, play it when they want to, how they want to, without having to commit their whole weekend, because we know that people just don't have that time. In terms of another approach, and probably not a product, I'd say once 360 really gets embedded, we're only 2 years into a very, very new, culturally challenging approach. Talent development is very different. We've definitely led the way in terms of sport and a sporting pathway with our Hockey for Life framework. But I really believe that 360 will start to really develop the talented youngsters of the future in the right way, and give them the support they need.
Okay, just a bit more about you now. In the 4 years you've spent with the organisation, what is the biggest thing that you have learned personally that you will take with you into your new role?
Oh, there's learning all the time. The biggest learning for me would be to maintain high expectations, to not bring them down even if you get challenged about them being too high. Ambition is good, and that's where I'd take forward. I think the biggest learning would be to make sure we've got the solid plan behind those ambition and expectations to make sure that we succeed, and I know that Hockey Wales have high expectations and ambitions, and I have the confidence, as I did when I started, that Hockey Wales will achieve those. Okay,
now that you've left the sport or come into the end of the week, is hockey something that you may consider taking up in your spare time?
Well, for those who have seen me perform in Corporate League and a recent Rush festival or trial that we did here, it may surprise people that I'm not that bad at hockey, and I think people think that I'm not very good at it, but I definitely like to take it up. I hope that in the future I will have a little bit more time to pursue a hobby, and I think probably Rush will be the one for me, because it just suits me, and I do love the sport, and to be involved in the future would be great.
Okay, coming to the end, last couple of questions. Feels like a bit of an interview, job interview. What is your funniest moment in the job? Head of Sport, Head of Development, last few years. Your funniest moment that you'll take with you, remember forever.
I cannot name one.
Give us
Honestly,
a couple.
A couple. Working with the agent team, there has always been huge amounts of laughter.
Who's got the biggest laugh?
Bev Rogers, and Tap the Lead story will stay with me forever. And for those who haven't heard Tap the Lead story, get in touch with Bev and she will repeat that, because I think everyone loves that. I think I rescued a dog once. That's another story for another time, but now I look back and think, what on earth was I doing on my trip up to North Wales? Bob, we called him. Bangor, I think we had a brilliant road trip when we launched Vision 2020 and went on the road for a couple of weeks, and my two dogs, which most people will know as they followed me around pitches and in the car and all around Wales, when they got lost in Bangor, when I left them with the colleagues for an hour or so, and I think they lost them, and Coxie got herself locked in the loo, and there was all sorts of dramas about telling Caroline that one of her princesses was lost. Honestly, I think I've been incredibly fortunate to work in a team with fantastic people who do make it an absolute pleasure to go to work every single day. And in 4 years, I don't think many people could say they've not enjoyed going to work, and that's because of the team spirit, the laughing, the member engagement, and yeah, huge laughs.
You mentioned it there, you've travelled up and down across Wales. What, where and why is your favourite location?
My favourite location? Possibly Starbucks in Oswald Street at the services now, because that kind of breaks up the journey. But in all seriousness, there is no Mid-Wales, so I can't say it's Mid-Wales, as Deborah Barker would say. I think in terms of picturesque, it's an absolute pleasure to be able to travel the miles I've done, because the places that you see, I think North Wales in terms of Snowdon has to be up there in terms of one of the highlights, and getting lost on many occasions hasn't been too much of a chore, because it's just beautiful, and we're very fortunate to have the landscape we do.
Okay, Kaz, are there any final messages for the hockey family throughout Wales?
I just probably like to reinforce that working within hockey and the hockey family in Wales has been incredible. I've never seen such passion, enthusiasm and commitment by volunteers throughout the country, all wanting to do the best for hockey, and I believe that with that passion and that drive and the team within Hockey Wales, that hockey can go on to be even more of a fantastic sport than it is already. And I'd just like to say a big thank you to those who have supported, but also for those who have challenged me in many, many ways, because it does help, it shows people care, and it's been a huge learning curve, and just thank everybody for everything that I've had the opportunity to be a part of.
Well, Kaz, it's been an absolute pleasure.